Hey all, it's finally happened. We have returned to
Fast and the Furious.
After a phone call interview with Craig Lieberman and having received his blessing to reference his videos, we are going to return to covering movie cars from the Fast and the Furious franchise, beginning with the purple Eclipse of Too Fast, Too Furious. Let's start with talking about how many Eclipses were used for filming. There were 4 drivable cars and 1 McRig car. The first 2 drivable cars are the hero cars, the ones for interior shots and instances where the main actors would be in the vehicle. Hero number 2 was actually an automatic, and this was the car that we saw Tyrese driving. So that means whenever there was a time he was supposedly shifting gears, he was actually just shifting back and forth between drive and reverse. They tried to hide the automatic gear shift by using a manual shift boot to cover it. Now let's talk about the design of the cars. You see, unlike the first movie where a large number of the main hero cars were rented from private owners who had extensively modified their cars, the Eclipse Spyders were never modified beyond what we saw on screen. No engine modifications, no exhaust systems, absolutely nothing. And this next part I'm sure many of you already know, Tyrese did not like the initial design of the Eclipse. At first, they had yellow interiors and spiderweb design graphics. He was not a fan. He said he didn't want to drive a Lakers car. So a few things had to be changed. The interior was redone in a kind of silver or light gray. This was accomplished in just a few days, and the new livery was actually picked by Tyrese. The decals we ultimately ended up with were an exact copy of another Florida Eclipse he found in a magazine. The main difference being the movie cars were purple and the car they copied was blue. They actually found the Florida car and traced the paintwork back to the original shop that did it, and they had the shop do the movie cars with the same style. Another infamous change that Tyrese asked for were the big chrome Lowenhart BR5 wheels. And these wheels were a rare exception to the rule that most of the wheels we see on the Fast and Furious cars were cheap back in the day. The BR5s were like 10 grand a set, and that's a total of at least $40,000 spent equipping all 4 cars with these wheels. Another example of a Fast and Furious car having crazy expensive wheels even back then were the Veilside Andrew F's on Dom's RX-7. Anyways, so when the bill came for the wheels, there was, shall we say, a debate as to who should have paid for them. Some argued that because Tyrese wanted them, he should have paid up. He thought that was crazy, because he couldn't afford something like that. At least not at the time. I don't know how long the debate lasted or what the details were of the final conclusion, but only that ultimately it was resolved and I do not believe Tyrese had to pay for them. The body kits also came from Shine Street, having been chosen due to their ease of installation and also due to the fact that the aftermarket for these cars at the time was small. So that sounds kinda weird, right? Well, it should, because they used the sounds of a Subaru engine in post-production. But if you've been watching my videos or you just pay attention when you're watching the movies, you should know by now that in post-production, the cars we see on screen rarely are responsible for the sounds we hear. This is due to a number of factors. For one, the cars they use for filming may just straight up sound like crap. You gotta remember a lot of them were stock. Secondly, the sound teams wanted to be able to make their contribution to the film too. They wanted to be able to make things sound the way they thought it should from a story and filming standpoint, therefore not always from an automotive enthusiast perspective. It did crack me up though, the first time I realized a Mitsubishi was making Subaru rumble noises. So if you were thinking about asking me how to make your Eclipse Spyder sound like that, well, you're gonna have to do an engine swap. I mean, hey, it would be unique and it would garner attention it meets. But, yeah. I always thought it was strange how the Eclipse and the Evo were introduced into the story. It always seemed odd to me to not just give Brian his skyline back. Now you could say it was so that they could track Brian and Rome with all of the weird tech they've supposedly had in the cars, but I'm sure they could have just installed that stuff into his car anyways to avoid raising suspicion. What? No, I'm not being rational again, I promise. What are you doing? No, get back!
One debt to society later.
Okay, I'm back. I forgot that some things are not worth trying to make sense of. But hey, it's all good, bruh.
Bruh. Watch your hands, bruh.
I'ma tell you, bruh.
I was in jail, bruh.
Thanks, bro.
Bruh.
By the way, and this isn't car related, as far as Craig can tell after skimming through the script, pretty much every bruh instance was off script. This isn't massively relevant, but I always thought this was funny, because throughout the whole film, everyone is saying bro or bruh, and then it never happens again in any other movie. Like, was this a weird phase? By the way, speaking of things that deviated from the script, that race between the Evo and Eclipse up against the muscle car guys? On script, that was called the pink slip race. On set, the common term amongst crew members was the barrel race. And oh boy, in one of his videos, Craig goes into detail about how ridiculous that race was initially supposed to be. It was outrageous. Like Men in Black outrageous, if you catch my drift. Oh, and this dude who wears sunglasses at night. Like what the I'm thinking rationally again. Another neat fact is that originally the pink slip race was supposed to be between Brian and Roman against some other JDM cars like an NSX and an MR2. Ultimately, the people in charge wanted to have more American muscle, and so some junkyard rescues were transformed into the movie muscle cars we saw. Another car we almost saw in that race, and in the film just in general, was the 350Z. But that deal obviously didn't work out, unfortunately. We did get that drawing Suki did of that 350 with some kind of dragon livery, which was based on a real car, I think, but it never got a role in the film. So anyways, to refocus back on the Eclipse, or Eclipses I should say, used for filming. There were 4 drivable cars and 1 McRig car. After filming ended, the cars went to LA. I know at least one ended up in the Netherlands, like many other cars from the franchise. Universal kept one, I believe, and the rest I can't say for sure. What do you guys think of the Eclipse Spyder? Was it a good choice for the role of Roman Pearce's car? What would you have picked? In my opinion, while the Eclipse was neat, it wasn't quite up to par with the R34 and Evo. Brian got the drive. An Acura NSX or Honda NSX would have been my choice because it looks exotic, it would have definitely been more memorable for the audience even in stock condition, and it's JDM. And if Tyrese still wanted it, the car still could have gotten the big Lowenhart wheels. Heck, it still could have been purple. But that being said, anyone who knows me knows I'm okay with any car being purple. Another benefit is that there's a bigger aftermarket for the NSX, allowing for a flashier and better looking movie car. But there's also sponsor deals and contracts you have to abide by, and sometimes you just gotta work with what you got. Ultimately, I think they did a pretty good job and put a lot of work and money into these cars. I mean, we still talk about them today. But that's all I have to say for now. Thank you guys for watching today's episode of Car Topics Explained. I know this has been a slow week. Classes just started again for me. I got sick halfway through the week and had a couple of days where all I could handle was going to class. But what do you guys think of the return of the Fast and the Furious content? This franchise has been close to my heart since before I had more than 50 words in my vocabulary. I literally grew up with this stuff, so it's a lot of fun doing research for these videos and presenting you guys with cool facts. I'll try to see what else I can dig up on these films for other videos. By the way, speaking of other videos, if you are new here and like this video, then you should really check out the rest of my series, Car Topics Explained. I have done several episodes covering Fast and the Furious movie cars. I've also done some video game cars, race cars, rare cars, and just general car history and culture stuff. Beyond that, I do gaming videos. I've got a series documenting my adventures with buying and modifying my own cars. I do vlogs and car reviews. So if any of that interests you, then I suggest you have a peruse through my channel, and if you like what you see and are a cool person, then you should definitely subscribe because you'll like what I've got planned. Thank you so much for watching. Stay awesome, take it easy, keep it crazy, and I hope to see you all next time. I'm the Racing Joker, signing out.